Hello, and thanks for watching One Story, One Verse, and One Truth. I settled on the title for this series because Jesus often told a story about something that was common to his listeners, and then he presented a spiritual application. He often used a quote from the Old Testament. I try to tell a story, then share a passage, and then a truth. First, the story. I find that women in the grocery store are wonderfully kind and helpful. By and large, they like to help guys that don't know what they're doing. My wife sends me to the store to get things, and sometimes I can't find them. Sometimes I don't know what they are. Some spices aren't with the other spices. Some things aren't labeled the way I think they should be labeled, and I just can't find them. And I hunt, and it doesn't seem to matter. So I was looking for something that should have been in the foreign foods section, and I was frustrated because I went up and down the aisles and I either didn't know what it was or what it looked like, or they didn't have it. So I picked a lady who looked like she knew how to cook. And I said something like, "You look like a good cook." And she just looked at me and I said, "Any chance you know what this is?" And I showed her the list on my phone. And she laughed and she said, "I know what that is." And I said, "Well, my wife put it on my list and I don't know how to find it." And she laughed and she said, "Oh, that's down here. Come on." She took my elbow and just moved me right down the aisle, walked right to it, said, "There it is. They have two sizes." I said, "That's amazing." And I thanked her profusely. Another time, I was trying to determine a new kind of sausage for breakfast. So I had looked at sausages in two places in this store. And I finally looked around and spotted this gal that I thought was pretty knowledgeable. She looked like it to me. So I said, "Ma'am, you look like you might know a lot more about this than I do. Can I ask, is this a sausage you'd cook for breakfast?" And again, she laughed and said, "Never. You don't want that for breakfast." She said, "What you want," and she took me down another row and pointed something out, said, "You want this one or that one? That's breakfast sausage." Okay, great. I thanked her. One lady had her kids running up and down the aisles hunting for what she told them to find for me because I couldn't find it and it wasn't where she thought it would be. And her family was on a hunt to help this poor guy that couldn't find anything in the store. I have found everyone I've asked, and I've asked dozens, and they have all been really friendly and helpful. Two secrets to it. One, I admitted right up front I didn't know much about it. And two, I asked for help, indicating they were more knowledgeable than I was and they might be able to help. On a human level, that intrigues people and makes them a little more open. But people want to help a clueless guy. Now, you ask, what verse could possibly say something about this? Here it is, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 and 10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. I find that with almost every job, it could be done better with two than one, even if it's just somebody willing to hand you things so you don't have to get up and down 40 times. I remember telling some friends once about a fix-it job I did at the church, and it involved a pit and climbing in it, and I did it alone. It wasn't that hard to do, and they were appalled. One guy said, "You could have been overcome in that pit and died there with no one around to help." I had no idea there was any danger involved, but had there been two of us, my chances would have been better. Here's the truth of the passage in the story. Help others and ask for help when you need it. I'm terrible about that last part. I'd rather just do it than ask for help. But two are better than one, and one can help if the other falls or fails. I used to fall off ladders, about one ladder a year pretty regularly. For 4 decades, I always fell off ladders. Never was someone there to help me up, never once. The last verse sounds a bit like Mr. T, doesn't it? Pity the man who, but yes, pity the man or woman who falls and gets in a position that requires help and doesn't have any help. We are to be helpful. We are to be able to ask others for help. And if we do it right, two will be better than one. God bless you, friends, and be helpful to others. And as you need help, ask. Even the act of being vulnerable, not knowing everything, can open people up to us and to the gospel. Thanks for listening.